Okay, and we'll get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Ennis, and I am the Outreach Coordinator for Seniors NL. Welcome to this week's Let's Talk, and today we'll be talking about a topic of importance to everyone, saving energy and saving money. Our weekly Let's Talk and Just Ask sessions are supported by United Way, Newfoundland and Labrador, and we are very grateful for that support. Before I introduce today's presenters, I'd like to just cover a few brief housekeeping items. Mute your mics, please, to block out outside noises. We've had dogs and cats and everything like that share our sessions in the past. There's captioning at the bottom of the screen if anyone needs it. Any questions and comments you might have, please put them in the chat box, and we will be asking them of the presenters following the presentations, okay? This session, as you know, is being recorded, and we'll be sending out lots of information tomorrow on the session and anything else that anybody requests today that we can put our hands on right away. We'll send it tomorrow. And one last thing, if there's any kind of presentation or any topic anyone is particularly interested in, just send it along to me and we'll look at it and see if we can do a special session on that, okay? And I just want to take a few moments now to acknowledge the land that we live in. We respectfully acknowledge the land on which we gather as the ancestral homes of the Beothuk, whose culture has now been erased forever. We also acknowledge the island of Uktahumguk as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. And we acknowledge Labrador as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Innu of Nitassinan, the Inuit of Nunatsiavut, and the Inuit of Nunatukavut. We recognize all First Peoples who are here before us, those who live with us now, and the 7 generations to come. As First Peoples have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and traditions of all who call it home. We open our hearts and minds to the past. We commit ourselves to working in the spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all. We're all familiar with news of climate change and greenhouse gas, heat waves, droughts, high sea levels, torrential rain, flooding. I mean, we just got rid of Larry here, and the tolls that they take on human, animal, and plant life. There's a direct connection, between our use of energy and our environment. And reducing our energy use will contribute to a healthier world for everyone, especially all the little ones that are growing up today. I mean, right now we'll be leaving a mess for them, but I think we're getting on the right path there. And there are many ways that we can reduce our energy use. Some are small, some are big, some cost at minimal cost, and some do cost a bit of money. And we're going to talk about some of those energy savings today, and we're going to hear about how saving energy can save us money. We asked participants during registration to let us know 3 things. We had 44 people respond to the question, have you heard of Take Charge? 4 were not sure, 5 had not heard of the program, and 35 had heard of it. Of the 43 who responded to the question, have you ever participated in a Take Charge program? 10 said yes, and 33 said no. Of the 39 who responded to the question, did you know that Take Charge can help you save energy and money in your home? 10 said yes. 8 said no, and 31 said yes. So hopefully today's presentation will encourage more people to participate in the program and just, see what it is that you can do to help make a healthier environment for everybody and also save us some money. I am pleased now to present today's speakers. Kaitie Collins is a Take Charge energy specialist with Newfoundland Power. Through programs in education, she helps customers manage their electricity use. Kaitie was recently recognized by Efficiency Canada for her work in the energy efficiency sector in Newfoundland and Labrador, and was featured in the national campaign, Humans of Energy Efficiency. Wow, that sounds really good. She holds a Bachelor of Business and a Bachelor of Arts, and is currently working on her Master of Business Administration from Memorial University. And Kaitie has extensive experience in program and project management in such industries as energy conservation, and most recently, electrification. Join Kaitie for expert advice, tips, and rebate information to help you save energy and money in your home year-round. Welcome, Kaitie. Peter Upshall is a professional engineer and a graduate of Memorial University. He has worked with Newfoundland Power in several roles, including power system design and operations, power plant controls, and in his current role, he serves the energy efficiency needs of Newfoundland Power customers. Peter works with commercial customers to provide technical and program guidance through project assessment to project completion. And Peter also serves as past president of the Building Owners and Managers Association Board of Directors. And Peter is also a proud father of 4 boys and 2 grandchildren. No girls in there.
Oh, there's one, yeah, one of those grandchildren is a girl.
Oh, perfect.
We had to wait. She waited for last.
Poppy's favorite. Anyway, oh, yeah, and I must say kudos to Newfoundland Power for all they do. Their employees out in all kinds of weather, trying to keep us in electricity. And, you know, it's just great. I love it when I see a Newfoundland Power vehicle around. It's really good. And now Kaitie and Peter are going to tell us about some of the programs that Newfoundland Power has in place to help you save energy. And after that, we'll respond to questions. The question, well, actually, some of you asked questions earlier, and we're going to be responding to them. They will respond to them during the presentation. If you have any questions now, you can put them in the chat box, and when they finish speaking, we will pass them along and they will respond to them. So I hope everyone really, I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy the discussion. And I let you guys take it away.
Thank you very much, Mary, and thanks to everybody for joining us this morning and giving us this opportunity to share some information. It really is about sharing information to everybody who's joined us. And so we certainly welcome questions. I know sometimes it can be a little bit challenging in the virtual world that we're living in now to share questions, but please, if you're at all inclined, ask questions through the chat function. We do have a couple or a few questions, actually 5 questions that came in advance. So we'll get started with those off the front end and answer those questions. First, I'm hoping the technology is going to work. I would like to share a video, but maybe I'm going to have some trouble right off the front end. All right. So we're not going to see it, but you're going to have to just look forward to seeing. This is one of our new commercials about feeling good about saving energy. That's what this one is about. But unfortunately, I can't share it with you right in the moment. But you will, I'm sure you'll see it as time goes on through the various media channels. So most people like to save energy to save money, and we get that. I certainly feel the same way. What is Take Charge? So quite a few people have heard of Take Charge, and that's fantastic. What it is a cooperative effort by the 2 electric utilities in the province, so Newfoundland Power and Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro, to help you and other customers save energy and manage your electricity usage. So we've been doing that since 2008. So the last 13 years, we've been working at that, and we have rebate programs as well to support those efforts. So there were some questions that came in asking about rebates. For one of them was oil to electricity conversions. And the provincial government did just very recently announce that, that you can get up to $2,500 when you convert from oil to electricity, to electric heat, for heating your home. There are a few requirements that we can talk about here. The applications will be accepted up to March 15th of next year, of 2022. If you're using oil, you need to use at least 1,000 liters per year. So hopefully your oil companies can share that information with you, so you can make sure that you're going to qualify. And one of the other requirements is that the oil tank has to be removed from your property as part of the whole project. If you Google and you just go on to Newfoundland and Labrador provincial government oil to electric program, you will find the information we're looking at right now, plus some other details that you'll want to be aware of. So again, yes, there is some financial support for converting from oil to electricity. It comes via the provincial government. There was another group of questions that were related to mini split heat pumps, and if there's some financial supports for doing that. And the federal government, a couple of months ago, announced their Greener Homes program. So here's just a few of the details around that. You can get up to $5,000 for eligible retrofits, including mini split heat pumps and insulation projects, upgrading the windows in your house, those sorts of things. It does require you to register and to get a pre and a post evaluation as part of that program. The federal government will pay the $600 to up to $600 to have those evaluations done. So, you do need to arrange it and get registered with the program. You apply online. So you have to go to their website. Again, if you Google, federal government Greener Homes program, you should be able to find their website fairly easily. So there are going to be some requirements for that program. One of the requirements, for example, with heat pumps is that there has to be at least 2 inside heads, or air handlers as they call it. So 2 inside units to deliver heat into the house. The idea is that the system has to be able to replace your existing system, or be a full whole home heating system. And as I mentioned earlier, it does also cover insulation upgrades, upgrades to windows and thermostats. So if you want to learn even more, go on to their website and that Greener Homes program, and you'll learn all about it. We can just touch it at a very high level through this program, or through this means, the presentation that we're doing today. If you do have any other questions that you want to ask, by all means, do that through the chat function about these programs or mini splits or more. There was another specific question that somebody had a hot water radiation system, and they wondered if a mini split heat pump system could help them. And I'll say the short answer is yes. It would supplement that system though, if you just put in one single head. And the mini splits, generally speaking, are a supplementary system. So if you have electric baseboard, for example, you have to maintain that system, and now you use the mini splits to get as much heat as you can from it. But on the very coldest days of the year, the heat pumps can't provide as much heat on those days, and that's the time that your house needs the most heat, because it's so cold outside. So you do need to maintain another system along with a mini split system. A whole bunch of information there. Hopefully it makes some sense for everybody. But like I said, please ask questions if something is unclear.
Peter, I think we have one last part question left there. Does Newfoundland Power conduct energy audits for households and businesses? If you would like to address that one as well. Right.
We do assessments for businesses, for commercial customers. We do not do energy audits for residential customers. You can get an evaluation or an audit through that Greener Homes program. that we just talked about through the federal government, and they will pay, the federal government will pay up to $600 for that to be done. You do have to register on the that Greener Homes website to get in line to get that audit done. Newfoundland Power and Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro do not do residential evaluations or audits. Okay,
and
thanks.
just for everyone who's listening, we are posting the links to the programs in the chat. So if you go to the bottom of your screen and you click on the chat button, it will pop the chat open for everybody, and you can grab those links for yourselves.
Beautiful. Perfect. I love it. Excellent. Thanks, Kaitie.
Excuse me, I'm just going to weigh in here for a second, follow up to what Kaitie was saying. I will also be sending out these links to everyone tomorrow. Everyone who registered will get the information. Okay?
Thanks, Mary.
Go ahead, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. I usually need to get information in more than one way for it to stick. So that sounds good to me to get it through the chat and also via email. That's good. So we'll start in to help you understand energy use in your home. We're looking at a couple of homes here. And the one on the left is an electrically heated home. So where is the energy going? The big piece at the bottom in blue, which says 55%, hopefully people can read that, but it says 55%. That's space heating energy to keep your electrically heated home warm and cozy. Above that, the 25% is appliances and electronics. 15% above that one, the gray area, that's for hot water heating. And then finally, right on top, there's 5%, which represents lights. Things will vary from home to home, certainly. Some people might use 65% of their electric heat for space heating, particularly if the house is not as efficient, maybe insulation levels are not as high, it's older, and so on. But those are some reasonable numbers for typical homes in Newfoundland and Labrador. The house on the right is a little bit different because that one is oil heated. And so we've taken out the oil energy. So 55% or so maybe of people's costs, if I can put it that way, are oil, but that's a different bill. So what we see in this in the house to the right is where the electricity dollars are going for that oil heated customer. So about 13%, a small portion, goes to driving the fans and the fuel pumps and so on for your oil furnace. And then above that 54%, the big piece in this case is appliances and electronics. So fridge, stove, all the other appliances and again, electronics that you have around your house. 23% is water heating and the lighting is about 10%. And those numbers are bigger in the oil because we're looking at the bill and where the energy is going. So might be a little bit confusing, but hopefully it makes a bit of sense. And we put it there because it is nice to know where your energy dollars are going so that we can focus on the big pieces of the pie, so to speak, or in this case, the big pieces of the house and where your energy dollars are going.
Peter, I'm just going to jump in here for a second and just let everyone know you're welcome to post questions in the chat at any time. If you're not comfortable sending your question out to everyone in the group for them to see it, feel free to just click right next to the two. Click that and just select my name, Kaitie Collins, and your questions will just come directly to me, and I'm the only one that will see them, and I'll read them out without saying your name. So if you just want to message them in private, please go right ahead. We won't give you away if you're not comfortable going to everybody with them.
Thank you, Kaitie. And this slide just addresses the question of, why do people want to save electricity? And the one at the top is the biggest motivator for most people is saving money on their electricity bill. And that makes sense for sure. Down to the left, we see comfort. Making your home more energy efficient also makes it more comfortable because you're making it a little bit warmer, probably reducing the drafts and the cold air that can leak into your home. That makes you more comfortable. Over to the right is the circle of convenience. And it can be, being more energy efficient can also be convenient. For example, if you put in programmable thermostats, And, you get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, well, your house is preheated because you can turn on the heat automatically at 7 o'clock or 7:30. So now you're getting up to a warmer home, and you don't need to do that on a daily basis. It can be nice and convenient as well. So, those are the big reasons why people look to save energy. Mary talked about the environment as well, which is certainly another important one for many, many people, to make sure that we're doing what we can for the environment. We are lucky in Newfoundland and Labrador because about 80% or so of our electricity energy comes from hydropower. So that's nice and clean, but that means that about 20% or so, somewhere in that area, comes from burning oil. So that's the more costly financially and more costly environmentally as well.
Peter, looks like we got our first question there.
Good.
Thank you very much. It is a great one and very important. How can you reduce your heat loss from your hot water boiler?
Yeah, good question. The biggest thing that I'm going to suggest is making sure that the pipes that come out of the top of your hot water boiler are insulated. And you can pick up some insulation wrap at a hardware store. It's pretty easy to install, but those pipes, particularly if they're copper pipes, they can lose a lot of energy right above and around the hot water tank. It's interesting because the hot water tends to come up, it cools down, and then it'll fall. So you get this heating effect that's going on as the hot water goes up and down, up and down. And if you ever go down, now be careful if you're going to do this. So perhaps I shouldn't even say this, but anyways, if you go down and just put your hand by the hot water pipe, it'll be quite hot if it's not insulated. And that's a sign that you're losing a lot of energy out through those pipes. So that's probably the easiest thing to do. You can get an insulation blanket that goes around the hot water boiler as well. I'm not as big a fan of those. There's already insulation around the tank that does a really good job. So, it's probably not worth it to put in on that extra blanket, and it tends to be much more costly to do that. And then we will talk about some other ways to reduce hot water use, but specifically with the hot water tank itself, I would say that, making sure the pipes are insulated. The Canadian Plumbing Association do not recommend people reduce their hot water setting to lower than 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which tends to be the factory preset. So most hot water tanks come set at 140. There was a time when we used to recommend reducing it, but since the Canadian Plumbing Association came out, I'm going to say a dozen years ago, and said, no, they don't recommend it. We've stopped doing that. So we don't recommend that anymore. And the concern is that you can have some bacteria growth in the hot water tank if you reduce the temperature below 140 degrees. So again, a lot of information. Hopefully it's useful. We'll go on to our next slide if we can. Oh.
And Peter, we actually have another good question there. It's around the heat pump rebates. So Trudy asked, is there another heat pump rebate program available this year? And she says, I understand that the 2019-2020 program ended on March 15th, which was the one administered by Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro.
Right. There is not. There's no provincial rebates for hot water for the mini split or ductless heat pumps. There is that federal one that's available through their system. All right, I'll pass it over to Kaitie for a little bit.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite parts of the presentation. We're just going to talk about 20 ways to save energy at home that will actually cost under $20. And the first ones we're going to talk about are quick ways to save energy that actually won't cost you anything. They're just little habits that you can change that you do in your home, and that can really just help you save energy and money.
Yeah, so I bet you if we did a survey of the people on this call, the vast majority would say when they're washing their clothes, they wash in cold water. And that's a good thing, because if you wash in hot, about 90% of the energy that you use is going to heating up that water. So there's lots of great detergents now that will do a good job.
I just realized I can't have my meeting because that meeting's on go. Oh, damn it.
Oh, I'm hearing some conversation. I don't know if everybody else is hearing that.
Are they almost done?
But anyways, I'll continue on, and hopefully we can maybe sort that out. So yeah, I mean, 90% of the energy used for clothes washing can be to heat the water. So washing in cold is good. Lots of good detergents. I would recommend that you set the water level to the appropriate margin. Sometimes I will forget to change the water level, but be mindful of that. If you've only got a few things and you really do need to wash them, then set it for a lower water temperature or water level, I should say, and that should work for you pretty good. Using a clothesline is a great idea. What? Hard to get that fresh smell too. I love stuff that's been dried outside. Why? Because it smells so fresh. Getting in the fresh sheets, that's good when you can smell the outdoors. And obviously, what you're doing is saving energy from the clothes dryer, which can be costly. It can be 25 to 35 cents to dry a load of clothes. And while that might not seem like much for one load, over a period of a month, it really does add up. And so we're suggesting that it could be $40 or so per year. All right, if you're able to hang half your clothes on the line. I remember when I lived in Clarenville, one of our neighbors, God love her, buddy, I tell you, it didn't matter, summer, spring, winter, there was clothes hanging on the line. So she had a lot of gumption, and we get lots of wind. So as they say in Newfoundland, it's a good day on the clothes, drying clothes. And they do make great pictures, don't they? I think tourism is certainly tuned into that as well.
Yeah, so the next thing we have is just unplugging electronics. So there's something called standby power, and standby power is when electronics are plugged into your outlets, but they're turned off, but they're still using energy. So the only way to guarantee that an electronic device isn't using energy is to unplug it from the wall. So doing this can save about 3% of your electricity costs, which would be fabulous. So I find the best places to unplug things, like it wouldn't make sense to be unplugging your fridge or your dryer or any of those appliances that you use on the daily. But if you think about maybe some spare rooms that you have, is there some TVs, some alarm clocks, power boxes plugged in those spare rooms that just don't need to be plugged in because no one's using them? Or maybe you have a bunch of appliances that you don't really use, and you can unplug those as well to save you some energy, or an office maybe that you're not using. So that's another place that you can go unplug some electronics to save some energy. The other thing that you can do is we have smart power strips now, and what they can do is you can plug your your cords into different sections. So there's a section that you can plug into when you flip the power bar off. It turns all of those, electronic devices off at the same time. So that's a really good option as well. But I'd say the average home now probably has upwards to 40 electronic devices or appliances plugged in. So it's definitely something to do. If you think of it, just go around and unplug whatever you can and keep it unplugged to save some energy. The next one. Unplugging or removing that old second fridge or freezer. And there's some hefty savings to be gained here. You can save upwards to $100 a year. So are you one of those people who have an old freezer or an old fridge down in your basement or down in your garage that is storing nothing, or maybe just storing one little itty bitty thing? Because if you are, it might be time to unplug it if you're not using it, or consider getting rid of it, which I know sounds like a really big task, but it's definitely something to consider. And doing this can save you a lot of energy. It really can. I know during the winter season for cooking, for Christmas cookies, I would definitely be using my second freezer. But besides Christmas cooking and maybe some fish in the summertime, I'm not using it. So I would unplug it just to get those energy savings. They really do add up. And if you are looking to get rid of that second fridge or freezer, I can post the link here now in the chat and Mary can send it out later. But everywhere in Newfoundland has a waste management system where someone can actually come by and pick it up for you, because I know it is a tough thing to get rid of. They are quite large items.
Yeah, and it is certainly a big cost. If you're not really using it, it's super good idea to unplug it, and then maybe getting rid of it completely is also the next level of good idea. So for your fridge and freezer, setting the right temperatures are also important. So the main part of your fridge needs to be at about 3 or 4 degrees. The freezer at minus 18. So I'm sure you're quite in tune with the fridge, and if it gets too cold or it's not cold enough, the freezer sometimes can be overlooked, but you wanna see if it's minus 18. The other thing to do with particularly the chest type freezers is make sure that you defrost it from time to time. As the frost builds up inside that, it really makes it less efficient because it keeps the cold from being able to get into the box. So you need to defrost those chest freezers from time to time if they're not automatic defrost. Most fridges are automatic defrost these days for sure. Anything new, but the old chest type, they can build up frosting, and that takes away their efficiency. Take shorter showers. This one can be controversial. I got to admit, this one can be controversial because people love their showers, and I do too. One thing I will say that perhaps shouldn't be controversial, and it is a great idea, is to make sure that you've got an energy efficient shower head. And they're available probably $15 to $20 to buy at the hardware store. They give you less flow, but they're designed for less flow, so it still feels like a good shower. Another little tip is don't stumble out of the bed and go right into the shower, because then you're groggy and you might stay in there for a long time, way longer than you need to be because you're still sleepy. And that happens to somebody I know. It happens to my wife. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Sometimes she'll go in there and she stays in there a long time because she's not quite awake yet. And those 4 boys that I've raised, they used to do the same thing. I got to admit, a sneaky little trick I would play on the boys. Never done this to my wife. Now, nope, never done this to my wife. But my boys, what I would do is that after they'd been in there long enough, I would go to the sink in the kitchen and just give a blast of hot water.
Oh, God.
And so what it would do would be to give them a little blast of cool water in the shower. And it was almost like I could do that for 2 seconds, turn it off, and then I could count down 4, 3, 2, 1, and the shower would turn off because they just needed to be, taken out of their slumber as they were dozily standing in the shower for too long. 8 minutes is the average shower according to surveys that have been done in Canada. So yeah, shorter showers can help, but make sure you have that energy efficient shower head as well. And I think before this presentation is over, we're going to talk about our instant rebate program that's coming up in a little while, where you can buy energy efficient shower heads at a greatly discounted price. And remember, I've never done that to my wife. Okay, never turned on the hot water while she's been in the shower so that she gets a shower. Just my kids. Using the energy saving features on appliances make good sense. Don't know if there's any controversy about this one, but that auto dry function on clothes dryers is one of the best things that's been invented for clothes dryers in a long time. So instead of just setting it for 30 minutes or 60 minutes, it will keep it going until the clothes is dried, and it senses that. So it's super efficient and a good thing. Making sure that you clean the lint out of your dryer every time, that makes a difference too. The clothes will dry much faster if the lint is clean. Okay, so just got to remember to do that one every time. I bet you just about everybody on this call does it. I wish I could get my kids to do it too, But yeah, some good savings, you know, $50 a year or so is reasonable by using all those features on your appliances. Back to you,
Oh, great.
Katie.
So yeah, that's great. So the next one we want to do is, of course, when we're using the dishwasher, we definitely don't want to use the heated dry cycle. So if you do have a dishwasher, avoid the heated dry cycle. Make sure you just do the air dry mode and just prop open the door and let them dry a little. That's another good way to get some savings there with appliances. And the next thing would be to rinse dishes in cold water before putting in the dishwasher if you do use the dishwasher. By not turning on the hot water, you do save energy. And dishwashers, well, modern ones, of course, are quite good at washing dishes nowadays. So we don't need to get them all cleaned off the way we used to. So that also saves some money there. And you can scrape them as well. That's a good idea. Scrape them, rinse in cold water, and pop them right in the dishwasher. You can save about $10 a year.
So here's another question that, oh.
You go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I was going to say, some people may be wondering, is it more efficient to wash them by hand, or is it better to use the dishwasher? And if you have the choice, it's better to use the dishwasher. You know, part of the reason is that you typically get several meals worth of dishes into a dishwasher versus having to fill a sink to wash, you know, a few items. So, and today's modern dishwashers are quite efficient and will use a minimal amount of water to make sure that your dishes are clean. So using the dishwasher is more efficient than washing them by hand. A few favorites, so like the pots and the pans, and I get that stuff, maybe even a few favorite cups and so on that you want to wash in the sink. Using a lid on a boiling pot is a good idea. And I don't know if this is going to surprise anybody, but my wife and I have a regular discussion about cooking spaghetti noodles and maybe any macaroni type noodles and whether it should be covered or not. She contends, and I stand to be corrected because she is really a great cook and chef, I got to admit, but I'll still have a discussion with her about it. But anyways, she contends that no, you should not cover, you know, the noodles when they're boiling on the stove. And I say, how can that make a difference? How can it make a difference? But anyways, generally speaking, if you're boiling potatoes and vegetables, which of course, I'm not aware of any controversy there, but keeping them covered will be more efficient. And you can typically turn down the heat because when you're keeping all that steam in, you're keeping a lot of the heat in. Plus it means your fan and other things in your house don't have to work as hard because you're, again, not overloading the air with a lot of moisture. So it says $3 a year. Very hard to get an estimate on this. It might be a little bit more than that, but using a lid is a good idea when you're cooking.
Another good tip is, I'm pretty sure all of you probably do this already, but just match the burner to the pot size. And that helps out as well, because that way all the heat's going in to heat whatever you're using in your pot or pan. All right, and the next one would be use a microwave to warm food instead of an oven. As long as you enjoy using the microwave, if you prefer to warm things in the oven, then that is your preference. I mean, this is a lot of tips, so even if you did a few of them, that would be amazing. But to save some energy, if you use smaller appliances, including like a slow cooker, I guess a microwave, toaster oven, so anything to avoid using that oven itself, which is a very large appliance that uses a lot of energy, that can save you some money per year. And this one's saying $8 a year, but as Peter said, it's hard to get an estimate on this stuff. Depends on how much food you reheat. It could save more.
I do have to admit, I like a microwave. I think it's a great invention. I use it on a fairly regular basis. Yeah. That's another video that unfortunately we won't be able to watch in this medium. So we'll move along. And this one I've already mentioned about taking the lint out of that dryer. It just, if it's there and it doesn't get removed, it blacks up the airflow and really slows down the drying process. So that means you're going to be paying more to dry your clothes. The estimate is $6 a year, but I think most of us know this is just a good habit to do. to make sure that we're cleaning that just about, or maybe every single time we're using it. I know that's what I try, regardless of what I've just dried in there, whether it was a load of towels or you know, sheets. I'll still clean that lint filter. And don't forget the HRV. It's not going to get as dirty as that dryer vent, but it still does need a little bit of attention. Your heat recovery ventilator or a ventilation system, that big old box that's probably somewhere in a utility room in your house. You know, there are some filters in there that need to be cleaned, maybe on a, you know, every couple of months, that sort of a basis, but it's worth doing. And of course, you can check your owner's manual to see what they recommend as well. But cleaning those filters every couple of months, most of them just need a rinse, and making sure that can operate as efficiently as possible as well. It mentions heat pump filters as well. If you've got a mini split heat pump, then it does move air through, and those filters also need to be cleaned probably every month or two. But you'll kind of get to know your own heat pump system and how often you need to clean it. But I would suggest at least every month you're cleaning it so that the air can move through, and that helps it work most efficiently.
All right, another really important tip that maybe a lot of you didn't think actually made a difference, but opening your curtains to let the daytime sunlight in and closing them at night can save you so much energy. So we have saving 10% or more on heating costs, and that is a significant amount of energy. If you think back to those houses, those that Peter showed you, so heating costs for an electrically heated home is one of the largest parts of your bill in the winter time. So following through with this tip could make so much of a difference. So what you want to do is open your curtains in the daytime, especially on a really sunny day, and let all of that nice, beautiful sunshine in, probably boost your mood as well. And what it does is that the heat from the sun stops your heating system from cutting in because it provides a source of heat for your home. So that is amazing. At night, you want to close your curtains and make sure they are closed, because windows, they have a really low R value, so resistance to heat loss. So it's about an R2, meaning that they're not that great at keeping heat in your home. Heat wants to escape through a window. So in the nighttime, you definitely want to close those curtains and try to keep as much heat in your home as possible. It just stops your heating system from kicking in. And when that heating system kicks in, that's when you start to see that little increase in your bill for sure. So if you're going to keep one tip in mind, this is probably one of those that I would try and focus on as the nights and days start to get colder. It can really help you out.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We're so focused on space heating because we know it's such a big chunk of energy bills. We're just coming out of summer, so in the summertime, you know, keeping the curtains closed in the day can help keep your house a bit cooler, and I'm sure we've all done that. The biggest part of this tip in our heads is thinking about the fact that as the temperature gets colder, as we move into the heating season and we're looking to try to keep our bills down, then that window, as Kaitie said, becomes a great source of heat loss because it's only about an R2. When you've got curtains that you can keep closed, especially, you know, after the sun goes down, it essentially puts another layer of insulation on your windows. There are some tricky parts to it though, because if too much air is able to move through behind that curtain, you can get condensation or water forming on your window. So you want to be careful about that. Not all curtains and situations are going to be the same. So be mindful of that and keep an eye on it. And I know one contractor who builds energy efficient homes, he sort of said, yeah, lots of times you're going to need to give it a little wipe in the morning because it's trapped that air. And when air gets trapped, the moisture comes out as it cools down. And so you could get some condensation on the windows. But unless it's streaming down the windows, in his mind at least, you know, maybe it's not a big problem. But be mindful of that. This can be a great tip, but unfortunately, you know, there's some issues with it as well if you get too much water or condensation on your windows.
Actually, Peter, that's a great segue into a question that Ruby just asked in the chat. She said, what settings should dehumidifiers be set on? At what month should they be used in?
Yeah, great question. Many of my responses could start with it depends. But most people I find in Newfoundland will use them in the summertime in their basements, because that's where you tend to get, it gets a bit cool and damp because of the increased moisture outside in the summertime. And then it can lead to that sort of damp, maybe musty smell that you can get down there. So that's when most people tend to use it. But homes will be different depending on, whether they put a lid on their boiling pot. I say that a little bit jokingly, but there's so many variables. How many people are taking a shower? How much moisture is being generated in the home? They may need, some homes, if more moisture is being generated, they may need to use that dehumidifier more. So there's going to be a lot of variability. In terms of the setting, the lower you set it, the humidistat it's called on the dehumidifier, the harder it will work to try to get the moisture level down to that level. So if it's set on 60%, it might work a little bit. If you set it on 50%, it's trying to remove more moisture, it'll work harder. And then, you could set it down to 40% or even lower, and it'll work harder to try to remove the moisture. So there's so much variability. It's hard to give a real firm answer on that one, but a lot of Newfoundland homes do need those dehumidifiers in the summertime in the basements to try to control the humidity and prevent that musty smell that you can come up against. I have to admit, they can use quite a bit of energy, like $20 to $30 a month would not be unusual for dehumidifiers, especially in the summer months when they're running a lot. You can get Energy Star dehumidifiers, so the next time you need to replace one, keep that in mind for sure. Hopefully that's a reasonable answer. It's tricky. It's tricky because there's so much variability with homes.
All right, so another really important tip. All the tips are really important, so this is a great one too. So again, thinking about heading into the heating season, so your fall and winter months, but it is a myth that keeping your thermostat at the same temperature saves energy in an electrically heated home, especially if you have baseboard heaters. So this is a really important one for anyone who heats their home with baseboard heaters. So set back the temperature by 5 degrees at night or when you're out and in sparsely used rooms. So just to elaborate on that a bit more, this can save 10% or more on your heating costs. So thinking back to that breakdown of that electrically heated home, so heating can make upwards to 55 to 60% of your electricity bill in those colder months. So thinking about 10% savings on those bills is absolutely amazing. So what you can try and focus on here is, say, if you set your heat at 21 degrees, popping that back down as much as you're comfortable with, even if you do some sort of setback while you're gone out for the day, that would be helpful. If you are comfortable setting it back to 16 degrees, that would be ideal. You could get great savings from that if you keep it there while you're out all day, and same thing while you're asleep at night. We definitely don't recommend that you go below 16 degrees. So you don't want to go below that to try and save energy. There is a risk there that mold and mildew could develop, also that your pipes could freeze. So just keep that in mind. Although it's really great to save energy, the safety of our health and homes are very important as well. The other thing that I'd just like to talk about here for a second, like in the picture on this slide, that's a programmable thermostat. There's electronic ones as well. The dial thermostats, that if you have any of those in your home, replacing those with an electronic thermostat or programmable thermostat could save you money as well. For one, if you do a programmable thermostat, you can of course set it and forget it. You can set these setbacks for you, and you can program them for Monday through Friday if you have a different schedule during the week, and program them for setbacks on the weekend, just in case you're always home on the weekend. And the other thing is that dial thermostats are actually really, really inaccurate. So although you're setting it to say 18 degrees, that may not be 18 degrees. That could be as high as 23 degrees or even lower than that. So if you're feeling like the temperature in your home is a little off, upgrading to these thermostats can definitely save you a bit of money. And we do offer rebates on them, which we'll talk about later, but we offer a rebate of $10 per every programmable thermostat and $5 per every electronic thermostat. So it's a great thing to do there. And yeah, Peter, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, I would say that they can come visit us at takechargenl.ca to learn how to program the ones that you get from Costco. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention Costco here, but they're probably the most popular ones in Newfoundland because they've got a good price and you get a pack of 5. But sometimes programming the thermostats, the programmable ones, can be an issue, setting them up. So we did, Kaitie and I were involved with putting together a video that's now on our website to help you set up those particular ones. So that may be useful to people. I know I've talked to customers, asked them if their Dahl thermostats are, keeping their house comfortable. And sometimes people say, yeah, they work good. And so I would offer up that if your Dahl thermostats maintain a nice steady temperature and you're comfortable with those, and you're setting it back at night, and when you get up in the morning, you turn it up to where you want it. If that's working for you, then that's okay too. But setting it back will save you energy. The thing that a programmable thermostat does, it maintains a nice steady temperature because it's electronic, and it also does it for you so that you can get up and you're getting up to a preheated home instead of having to wait for 15 minutes or maybe a half hour or possibly even more for the temperature to come back. Especially in the winter, you might have to wait longer.
Peter, I think we might have to skip a few slides here and get right on to our rebate program because we are running a bit short on time. If you want to skip ahead. Okay, so this was
just a review of things, really. So we can skip that one.
We'll have to skip all these low cost ones as well and just go right to rebate programs because I think it's important to mention our rebate program.
Okay, all right, no worries. So of course, most of us are aware of those LED bulbs. I've talked quite a bit about high performance shower heads. Fixing a leaky faucet doesn't make sense. Look, at my tank's getting all tangled up now. And aerators work because they reduce flow. Weatherizing, installing those things. Oh, okay, here we are at our rebate programs. This one's for you, Kaitie.
Yes, all right. So sorry guys to skip all the low cost ones, but I really thought it'd be important to get to our rebate programs where you can save money for doing energy efficiency upgrades. So this one here, this is our instant rebates program. Coming back again this fall, September 21st to November 16th, you can save up to $30 now on energy efficiency products. We've added air purifiers, we've added dehumidifiers, we've got smart plugs, we've got LED light bulbs. If you're looking for energy efficiency products, this is the time to buy for sure, and you save instantly at the cash. You don't need to mail in for a rebate. You just look for our little tags on the product, and these are at participating hardware stores in Newfoundland and Labrador. So your Home Hardwares, your Kent, your Canadian Tires, you'll see our tags there, and it tells you how much money you can save instantly off the cash. But definitely a great time to go out and buy some of these products, especially stock up on some light bulbs and get that energy efficiency shower head that Peter was talking about, and so much more. There's weather stripping. Such a large selection of products. I'm going to post the link here now in the chat while Peter talks about our thermostat rebate program.
The other thing in terms of all those tips is that if you come to our Take Charge NL website, you'll find that 20 under 20 list. So you can review that at your leisure. We've talked about programmable thermostats. There's a rebate that's there every day of the year. The instant is only for a short time, but the programmable thermostat rebate is there every single day. And it's $10 for a programmable and $5 for an electronic thermostat. And they can save you lots of energy. Hopefully people are aware that we've also got some great rebates on insulation. It covers 75% of the cost of the material if you're doing a basement insulation project, and 50% of the cost of the insulating material if you're upgrading your attic. So I would really encourage you, if there's parts of your basement that are not fully insulated, that is such an important thing to do. and we've got great rebates. The government Greener Homes program will also help you. So there's never been a better time probably to go ahead with those projects. So please think about that for sure.
All right, and we just really quickly wanted to mention, if you do heat your home with oil heat, we have not forgotten about you. So we do offer those same 2 rebates, so up to $2,000 back on basement and attic insulation, like Peter just mentioned, and back up to $10 per programmable thermostat and $5 per electronic thermostat for oil heated homes. So if you do heat your home with oil, we hadn't forgotten about you. You can get those same rebates. Again, if you visit takechargenl.ca, and I will post that link as well, you can get money back for energy efficiency upgrades in your home. Very exciting. Love the confetti on this slide because it's super exciting news. And one of our last rebate programs, but definitely not the least, is our heat recovery ventilator rebate program. So this one here, if you find that your air exchanger is starting to give out or has completely given out, or your current heat recovery ventilator has decided that it no longer wants to work, if you purchase a qualifying heat recovery ventilator, and all of our models are posted on our website, if you are going to purchase one to get the $175 back, I would definitely visit our website first to make sure you're getting a qualifying model. And we also need to use an eligible installer. But if you do this, you can get back up to $175 on the purchase and install of your heat recovery ventilator. And not only that, these models are very, very efficient models that we have on our website, and it can save you over $1,000 on the lifetime of the unit. So definitely a good idea if you're in the market to upgrade, but it's not something I would do if your current air exchanger or HRV is currently working. So only if it's at the end of its life.
Super. So there's a lot of interest, and there's been lots of questions about ductless and mini split heat pumps. So we just want to take a couple of minutes here to talk about them. Interesting, we've talked about fridges and freezers, and these heat pumps really use the same technology. They use refrigeration technology to move heat from one place to another place. So it can provide heating into your home, which we need during the winter, but it also gives you air conditioning. So the same system, it just switches its operation, and it'll move heat out of your house in the summertime if it's too warm. So they really do work, and they work great in our climate. They can work down to minus 25 degrees Celsius. Hardly ever gets that cold in Newfoundland, at least. Labrador, it probably does, but they work very well in our environment, I must say. A few things to keep in mind is that if you put in one single head into your house, it's going to save you money where that indoor unit is. So it's not going to reduce your total heating bill in the house, because it can only do so much. It's going to put the heat into that space where the indoor unit is, and then depending on how that heat can move through the rest of the house, it'll displace some of your electric resistance, or even some of your oil heat if you've got an oil furnace. So it'll give you some good savings. We estimate about 40% in the area where the heat pump can displace other forms of heat. It's also quite comfortable. You know, people tend to like that form of heat, the forced air, and it gives you air conditioning, of course. So it's quite a nice system. Works very well in our climate, and they're quite popular these days. One of the questions is it a good match for my house? How it will work in my house? And a few things to keep in mind, because it's only heating the area where the heat pump is. If you have a wide open concept and it can heat a big space, then it's probably going to be a better idea. If your house tends to be a lot of smaller rooms, and where it will be hard for the heat to move throughout, then it's probably not going to save you as much on your heating costs, and might not be a great fit or a great match for your house. So that's one of the big things. The other thing that we say is that you really need to focus on, and should focus on, keeping the heat in first. So make sure your house is well insulated and it's efficient as it can be from that perspective. And that'll help you be more comfortable anyway, with or without the heat pump. And then that open concept for your house layout layout makes it a better fit. There is maintenance required. You'll need to make sure that if there's snow, we get a big snow, you need to clear out the snow from around the outdoor unit. You do need to be cleaning the filters in the indoor unit on a fairly regular basis, perhaps every month or so, to make sure that air can move through that indoor unit quite well. We do have a payback calculator on our website, so you can go on and you can check it out and see, how long will it take me to get my money back. The heat pumps will last 10 to 15 years, typically. I must say there's some great warranties these days. You can buy a labor included warranty for up to 10 years now. I think it might be at $250 or something like that. So, it's pretty good to get a 10-year warranty on a piece of equipment. But the unit typically will last 10 to 15 years. So can be a great investment. They've become quite popular in Newfoundland and Labrador. Most of us probably know somebody who's installed one, and certainly something to think about in terms of keeping your house warm, cozy, and more efficient.
Peter, we do have a question there before I move on to the announcement of our new program that's coming this fall.
Yeah.
Do us, Newfoundland Power and NL Hydro, have bill financing for energy saving upgrades?
Super question. Yes, we do. You can call our customer service center and go through the financing program to put in things like heat pumps and other efficiency upgrades, maybe insulation and even electrical upgrades to your house. They can be financed through your power bill. So yes, we do have that, and that can make things a bit easier as well.
And this is one of our last slides, or I think it is our last slide besides our question slide, but we have really exciting news. We have a new program launching this fall. It is a free energy savings kit with almost every single product that we talked about in this presentation, and it'll be for income qualifying households. So it'll be for people with low, moderate income. And what it does is you apply for this kit. We send it out to you free of charge. It has a number of energy saving products in it. It has light bulbs, it has weather stripping, it has that energy efficient shower head, and so much more in these kits. Easy to install items that you can install in your home that'll give you hundreds of savings over the years. So this program is coming. Watch for it in fall of 2021. We can't wait to start getting our first applications and our first kits out to customers and to everyone. We're really excited about the launch of this program. So stay tuned.
Kaitie, any idea when that will be available? Is there a best guess, or should we just tell people to keep checking back?
Best guess is second week in November.
Okay.
According to the project timeline. So watch for it. They're
Okay.
around same Remembrance Day week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. So come visit us at takechargenl.ca and make sure you come in November to check out the full details on that program for sure. So that's great. And we are certainly open to questions that you may have. Thanks for the ones that you've sent in so far. It's always great to get questions, I must say.
No final questions from anyone? Okay, I guess that's it then. Peter and Kaitie, thank you so very much. I'm going to take down your slides now and put up my final ones. That was great.
You're welcome, Deanna.
That was so much good information. It's absolutely fabulous. And we really appreciate it. And I can't wait to send all of this stuff out tomorrow, and with a link to the actual presentation and a link to the recording, because it is being recorded to YouTube. And if
thanks very much for the opportunity, folks. Really appreciate your time this morning to share this information. It's great.
And anytime anything new comes up, let us know and we'll have you back.
Marvelous.
Sounds good to me.
If anyone needs a certificate for professional development or post-secondary education, just let me know. I did ask that question during registration anyway, so I probably already have the answers. And if anybody's interested in becoming a friend of Seniors NL, we would love to have you. There's not a lot entailed in that. There's no onerous task or anything. We supply our friends with business cards with our contact information on it. And if they run into seniors who are looking for information about anything, like might be in the grocery store talking to someone and they're complaining about something or other, and you can just give them a card and say, phone these people, and they will let you know whatever you need to know. And next week we're going to be talking about ageism. And we have one of our peer support volunteers here at Seniors NL who will be doing that presentation. And coming soon to Let's Talk About, we will be talking about vision loss programs and services that are available in the province. And there is our information, and that will be sent out to you as well, though. And most of you already have it, I'm sure. So thanks very, very much. It was great, great seeing so many faces again. And thank you, Peter and Kaitie. Really, really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much. Really appreciate being
Thank
here.
you.